on the 10th row of the grid. Let's have a look earlier on. You can see Rydell and the Cox there with the Ferrari on the front row. The two Bleekemolen's. There's three Bleekemolen's, of course, because with Mike Hasemans on the second row is Jeroen Bleekemolen, the youngest of the Bleekemolen family. We can look at Julian Bailey, really lost out in the shootout, lost out at the Beadle chicane, modified not by intention there. And we can see Robert Liddell, who was on pole really for the NGT, and well, in fact it was Stefan Ortelli's first pole. The grid stretching right back. And we can see Paul Knapfield in another of those many Porsche 996s. But a big job here for Jamie Campbell-Walter to do, his teammate in the other Lister Storm, Julian Bailey, starting on the third row. But is it going to be another Ferrari dominance?
Well, I mean, I don't really know. It's going to be certainly difficult for Jamie Campbell-Walter. I mean, starting where he is on the grid, certainly with these conditions, it's not the ideal place to be going into that first corner when you've got all of the spray. But you know, it's a 3-hour race. Ultimately, he needs to try and keep it on the road for the first couple of laps when there's a lot of things happening, and then let it settle down and try and move forward.
Tom Coronel not here, and new man in the place, Mike Jordan. You know much of he?
Not really, no. I've not come across him in any of my racing before, so you know, we need to keep an eye out for him, see how he performs.
I have. He's mega quick. He was brilliant in TVRs. He's been doing extremely well in GT racing, right at the top of the pack in the Privilege Insurance British GT Championship. He will not be in any way out of his depth in case it rains, unless it rains a great deal heavier than they all are. Not the best of conditions.
It's not ideal for sure. Not really what you want to be, but when you're sat on the front row like that, it's clear road ahead and no spray, so that's the best place to be.
Sebastian Bleekemolen has had a problem. There's the Lamborghini. That's got a problem as well. Now, I don't know what the problem has been for Sebastian Bleekemolen, but we've got a...
Gosh.
He was sliding on the far side.
Tried to get on the power too soon.
And thanks again. That wasn't the race actually started.
No.
The race hadn't started. It has now. It has now. Oh, thanks for our second camera crew there. Brilliantly directed to catch that. Just after it happened to replay it back. But that was absolutely brilliant. As too was not a bad start from Ricard Rydell. But there's not a bad start from the second row. And that's Hasemans who's got the Viper through. So it's the Ferrari in between two Vipers at the moment. And it's Hasemans who has gone into the lead. The car that he will share later with Jeroen Bleekemolen, who's already at the age of 19 stood on the top of a podium. But that Ferrari has lost out clearly there, and he's going to move into third place. He's going to go quite wide. Can he hold on to it? No, he can hold on to it there. Second place it stays. But he's being challenged by the Chiro car of the champions already. And the man in there at the moment is Christophe Buchu. And Buchu, having a look at the Ferrari, goes down the inside of him and does that with some consummate ease. Jamie Davis.
I mean, it's difficult to say early on, but you know, I'm not really sure what kind of setup they've gone for with the Ferrari. Maybe they've gone for more of a dry setup, and you know, they're maybe looking at the weather is going to dry it later on and see if they can perform then. But at the moment, it doesn't look like they've got the speed.
And what about Sebastian Bleekemolen? I mean, that is not the thing that you'd want to happen at the beginning of a race, or at any time during it.
That was just incredible. I mean, it looked to me that Ricard had the inside coming out of the corner when they were winding up to go to the start line. And when you're on the inside there, you're off of the rubber, so you've got more grip. So I think Ricard was able to get on the power slightly sooner. And Bleekemolen, being on the outside, was on the actual rubber, which is like ice, and got on the power, and the car just broke away straight away and then into the wall.
Well, there you can see Hasemans, who's the leader, from Ricard Rydell, who is in third place at the moment. Buchu in second. Julian Bailey with the Lister Storm has moved up to fourth. Jean-Pierre Jallier in fifth. Luca Riccatelli in the leading the championship car in NGT in a .6 place at the moment. And I can tell you further back, Jamie Campbell-Walter is on a mission.
Yeah, I mean, looking at that NGT, the car there, sometimes when you have actually less power, when you're on a very slippery, greasy circuit, which this Nürburgring tends to be when it rains, you know, sometimes that can actually help you, and you've got easier to get the power down coming out of the corners. It's not such an animal to drive, and you know, it's showing.
Well, there's something that is perhaps a little bit more of an animal to drive. Beautiful car it might be. It's that of Müller and Trunk, and it's the Lamborghini. not yet really beginning to show the way they'd love it to show. I'll tell you that the weather conditions are absolutely appalling, and it's the 12th car of the Paul Belmondo racing team that goes through there. Paul Belmondo Racing, of course, excluded from the shootout. Their number 11 car was.
Here we go, we've got a replay of the start. Just
well, just before the start.
Well, I think they're actually coming down to the start line now to take the green flag, and he's just tried to get on the gas too soon and just lost the rear.
And he was pretty far out on this side of the circuit, wasn't he? And there with third place Ferrari of Ricardo Rydell. And you get an idea of the amount of spray. It's early doors in the race, of course. And you don't want to do Sebastian Bleekemolen, do you?
Not really, no. The goal is obviously to finish the race. You need to be there at the end, but you need to get a move on as well, because if these guys start edging out a lead, then he's got his work to do later on.
Well, he's doing very well at the moment. Is this man at the front, and the Shadow car, the Labra car in second place. Bichou, of course, with Jean-Philippe have already won the championship. They can't be outscored in the points. Ricardo Rydell ahead of Julian Bailey, and not very far ahead of Julian Bailey. Jarier, that in the darkness there you might have thought that Campbell Walter was through to fifth. He isn't, of course. That is Jean-Pierre Jarier, and another of the Vipers. And we said that earlier that the Ferrari perhaps could be the new dominant force. It's got to really prove that yet. It's maybe have more room for development on it than perhaps on the Vipers or the Lister Storm.
Yeah, I mean, the Ferrari, it's early days. Performed incredibly well at the A1 ring, and obviously in qualifying for this race as well. Putting it on par, they couldn't have asked for more, but at the moment they're in third position, but this is unknown territory again for them, other than the test day on the Friday in the wet. You know, they have had very limited testing with that, so they're learning all of the time, and I can see the car just getting stronger and stronger.
It's stopped actually raining at the moment.
You can see actually a little bit of a dry line there.
Yeah, that dry line developing. Also the time's coming down. We saw Hasemans, who's in the lead with the fastest lap. Of course, he hasn't got a problem at the moment because he hasn't got anybody right in front of him. But let's find out what happened with Sebastian Bleekemolen.
Sebastian, we saw the slide just at the beginning of the race there. Was that just because there was too much water on the track?
Yeah, it was. There's a lot of water on the track, and at the outside of the corner, which there's a lot of rubber on the outside. And I pushed my throttle just a little bit, and I spun directly. But it was my own mistake, so the race is over now because the radiator is broke. All the water is coming out.
Thank you. Simon Walster getting the news as soon as it was available from Sebastian Bleekemolen. Didn't look that embarrassed, did he? Would you have been?
Probably a little bit, yeah. It's not the ideal situation to crash before the start, but you know, with these conditions, it can catch you out sometimes.
In fairness, he's not a man who makes very many mistakes.
No, exactly.
And 57 in the NGT class is Stefano Telli, who put that in pole for the first time. The NGT car he's put in pole. And there's the Labra NGT car just behind him. Battles raging up and down the field, and these conditions very difficult. As I said to you a few minutes ago, it stopped raining, all of a sudden it's absolutely pouring down again. Yeah,
I mean, the biggest thing they're going to be thinking about now is when their pit stop windows are going to be coming up as well, and you know, how this track is, if it's drying very quickly. They need to be keeping an eye on that, because it's going to be a tyre situation when it's coming to the pit stops on whether they go for an intermediate or maybe a slick, or whether they stay with the wets. I mean, it's difficult to say at the moment, but there's going to be some things up in the air for sure.
Well, Telly may have pole. We change ride for the moment. We're now with Philip Peter, who shares the car with Werner, who's his Porsche Cup partner, Porsche Super Cup partner. And Werner knows the circuit very, very well indeed, which will undoubtedly be an advantage. What sort of messages, when you've got this sort of business of rain, drying line, etc., is passing between driver and pit crew, Jamie Davis?
Really, it's just concentration when you're in the cockpit. You need to be concentrating on what you're doing. The pit crews will be monitoring lap times to see what other people are doing. At the moment, I'd imagine everybody's still going to be on the wet tyre, so you know, they're all going to be doing the muchness to lap times. But if somebody comes in and makes a change, that's when the teams are really going to monitor to see what times they can produce if they've gone to a different tyre, and then decide when they need to come in.
57, 58, having a little battle there, but it's 57 that goes through. And right at the front, the gap now between Hasemans and Bouchou, 6.794 after 5 laps. On the top 6 board appears Jamie Campbell-Walter.
It's moving up through nicely, 25 seconds off of the lead, but with a 3-hour race, it's not totally out of the question that he can pull that back.
NGT having their own battle, Luca Riccatelli, but we saw Riccatelli leading with ease at the A1 ring, eventual retirement there. Ortelli in second spot, Dumes in third spot, and I'll tell you who is coming through very quickly. It's the Yorkshireman, Sugden. I think he's up at the moment into 5th place in NGT. Missed out on the shootout, although at one stage he too was up in provisional pole position in a very odd practice session with that all yellow situation, and beached. Well, that's Jochenberger. Don't know whether they'll get that out of there, because the front wheels are actually on the grass as the Lister Storm goes through. Back aboard we go with Stefan Ortelli, currently in 2nd place in NGT. And it is starting to dry a little bit. You said the dry line. Again, the rain for the moment has stopped. Evidence of that in the windscreen wipers aren't going. He's got a clear track, of course. If he gets amongst cars again, that wiper will have to go.
Yeah, I mean, there's the circuit at the moment is still far too wet to be changing tyres. In fact, it goes through a stage normally where it starts to get quite greasy, and it's actually slipperier then than it is when it's full wet sometimes. So, you need to be very careful there. You need to time the situation well for when you're going to change the tyres, and at the moment it's not that situation.
And when you think you should change them, then you never know whether the weather would change. There is Werner, who's currently in 19th place in an NGT car. Shares that car with Philip Peter. And again, the wipers having to go, but more because of spray than anything else. Porsche GT2 car going through, but Hasemans has clawed out another few tenths to Bouchou. Look at the gap to Jamie Campbell-Walter from the leader now, 24.2 seconds, and there's 13 seconds between him and his teammate Julian Bailey, who's in 4th spot.
The lap time's definitely coming down. He's pulled out a second on the leader on that lap, so if he can keep doing that, it's not going to be long before he's knocking on the door of the other guys up front.
And the Ferrari at the moment, thoughts on that? I mean, we heard the interview on the grid when Simon was talking to Ricard Rydell there, and he was saying he was happy with the car in wet or in the dry at the moment. I don't think he'd be that happy with it. No,
I mean, it's difficult to call. Very difficult to know what the situation is with their setup on the car, but just doesn't seem to have the speed at the moment. Looked good in qualifying. Ricard sounded very confident in wet or dry conditions, but at the moment he's proven that the Vipers are quicker.
And once again on board we are, the NGT car. A whole clutch of Porsche 996 GT3Rs, been very much a revelation of cars appearing in GT, and of course in Great Britain, and in the Porsche Cup in Great Britain as well, where there's been some very exciting GT cars racing inside that Porsche Cup GT3s. They're the Labra car, but it's Ricard Rydell who has just set the fastest lap. We just said he was unhappy. He proves us wrong. He's getting happier all the time, but happier as it's becoming more of a drier line.
Yeah, exactly. It could have been what I said earlier, maybe they have gone for more of a dry setup, so ultimately when they started the race in the rain, they didn't have the speed there, but as the track's drying, then possibly they could start moving forwards. I mean, we can't say yet, but it could well be that.
Well, it looks like at any time now, the Labra car is going to be demoted a place. Christophe Bouchou, happy with his points tally that gives him the FIA Championship, but perhaps not so happy that Ricard Rydell is hunting him down at the moment. Julian Bailey behind Rydell in 4th spot. Not too far behind Julian Bailey is his teammate Jamie Campbell-Walter. Julian Bailey shares the car with Nicholas Springer, German driver. Jamie Campbell-Walter has a man who will be very hot to trot.
Still very greasy
Mike
there.
Jordan to be with him.
Still very greasy there at the moment, but you can see the slight dry line approaching, but this is going to make it very difficult for Rydell to make the move, because when you're driving on the dry line, to move off of the dry line onto the wet patch to actually go up the inside just makes it almost impossible.
There was a yellow flag waving there. I'm not sure who's actually off at the moment. But while Rydell is being held up, it's allowing Julian Bailey perhaps to get a little bit closer. The pit crew giving him the signal there. I'm going to come on to that Newcastle United sponsorship in a moment. So stand by, Jamie Davis, as Rydell has gone through. Now, I know your ambition is still to reach Formula One. There's a new sort of Formula One being talked about with cars representing football clubs. You have a bit of a problem now. Which is your football club?
I support Man United.
You support Yeovil Town. You told me before we started commentating. How can Yeovil Town have a team in Formula One?
I just thought I'd like to confuse you, Tony.
Well, no confusion about the man now back into second spot. Of course, he was in pole position. That's Ricard Rydell with the Ferrari 550 Maranello. Pro Drive based in Banbury. Started work on that car January the 2nd. In 18 weeks, they had a victory.
That's incredible. But, you know, the Pro Drive guys, they're doing a great job. They know exactly how to produce the goods out of the car. It's a great base to start with anyway, right from the beginning. And the development which they've done, it's just making it better and better every race.
And Julian Bailey wanting to better himself as well with the Lister Storm. And Christophe Bouchou has got a black cloud hanging over him.
I think Julian Bailey
not just the one that's in the sky.
I think Julian Bailey would be happier that the circuit's starting to dry out, because I don't think he likes the rain too much.
Well, he's gone through there liking the rain or not liking the rain, and now he has moved up to third spot. And it looks like Christophe Bouchou maybe, you know, I've won the championship, maybe, you know, just take it a little bit easier.
For sure. He's got nothing to prove now at the end of the day. He's taken the title. They're out there. They still obviously want to score points. As a racing driver, he's still going to want to win the race, but he's not prepared to take any risks. There's no need to at the moment, you know. You'll just see how this race develops. It's still up in the air at the moment with the weather conditions, so anything can happen.
And they're coming up on the Lamborghini. And there we have another look again at Julian Bailey, finding his way through into third place.
Nothing that Bouchou could do about that one.
I'm getting rather mixed signals on what the weather's likely to be like in the next few laps. The circuit looking like it might be drying up a little bit. Another report's coming that we're likely to have a storm. What if it's a Lister storm from Jamie Campbell-Walter? He's in 6th place. Or can Bailey get further forward? You'll find out after these. Leader in the FIA GT Championship at the Nürburgring. His name, Ricard Rydell. Well, he may not have made the best of starts in this race. He's certainly made up for it now. And Rydell leading from Haysmans. Haysmans in 2nd place from Bailey in 3rd place. And this is really the difficult bit, isn't it? I mean, I know you've competed at Le Mans and that sort of place. When you come up on the classes of car that are considerably slower, that are having their own battles, I mean, it is difficult. There's all sorts of things that can happen.
Yeah, it's difficult. Oh, we got a pit stop here, one of the Lister Storms.
I think that's Julian Bailey in. Now, he's going on to slicks tyres. It has been, that drying line has been coming. We mentioned a few minutes ago, though, that we're told there could be a storm. There's Michatelli, the NGT leader, who I think is also heading for the pits and also coming for slick tyres.
This is always a big problem, you know. They've got to come in, do the fuel stops now. Possibly make the driver change. They've now got a dry line, so they're deciding to go with with the dry tyres. But you know, with those clouds looming up ahead, anything can happen. It could start raining again. It might not. But it's always a gamble.
Well, obviously, slick tyres, the right ones for the moment, as far as they're concerned.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, you have to go with how the circuit is at that time. You know, if there's a dry line going, then you have to go with that.
Well, the Labra competition car comes in. Christophe Bouchou, I think they're going to change drivers. Yes, they are changing drivers. So when they go out, they will be on slicks as well. But meanwhile, at the front, it's still the Ferrari that leads as Julian Bailey, now slick mounted, comes out of the pit. Still a fair amount of spray there, fair amount of rain.
Yeah.
And very much, if you're on wets at the moment, you have to look a little bit to get away from the dry line to cool those tyres.
Exactly, yeah, you need to cool the tyres down for sure. And going back, Tony, to the the other point you made about with the other types of different car when you're having to pass the traffic and whatever. It's always very difficult, and certainly with these situations now as well, with the dry line and wet off of the line, it makes it even more difficult to pass the slower cars, because even they can brake later than you when they're on the dry and you're on the wet.
Well, confirmation that Jean-Philippe Belloc is in fact in the Labra competition car that's out. And here, Rydell now leads from Haismans by almost 3.7 seconds. Haismans just behind the Lamborghini. Bailey in third spot. And I think we might find that his teammate, Jamie Campbell-Walter, is in fourth spot. Only one of the Team Carsport Holland cars running, if you've just joined us. And that is going into the pits again, I think, to change the tyres again. Obviously, Jean-Philippe Belloc went out on slicks. Part of the circuit, I'm told, it's raining again.
He's gone, yeah.
He's found it, you know, a bit of a problem.
He's obviously decided that it was the wrong choice. They've gone with a slick tyre, but there's obviously somewhere on the circuit at the moment which is causing him problems, and he's decided to make the change back to wet, possibly.
Rydell driving extremely smoothly at the moment, no particular problems for him.
You need to be driving smooth in these conditions now, because the wet tyres will go off incredibly quickly. They'll just start overheating, start chunking, and you'll have big vibrations, and the car will be moving around all over the place in no time.
Well, from our lap scoring, we have it as Rydell, Haismans, Bailey, Campbell-Walter. Jean-Philippe Belloc will have lost something there. Here's another. Now, are slick tyres going on here?
Yes, they are.
They are indeed, and that is the 75 car, which is Jürgen Alsen and Wolf Hensler, another of the 996s.
I could just see some spots of rain on the camera lens, then, actually.
Yeah, and yet the fastest lap so far of the race comes in from Jean-Pierre Janier.
Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, there's still a dry line at the moment, but if it does start to spit raining again, then it's going to take maybe 1 or 2 laps, but it's for sure going to get damp and wet again.
Now, these stops, nothing like the Formula One stops. They're limited the number of people that they can use around the car, and the fuel, if there's fuel going in, has got to go in before they can touch the tyres.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they'll come in to start with, they'll do the refueling. You can do the driver change at the same time. Then once the refueling's finished, the guys can then go about doing the tyre change, just one mechanic per side of the car.
And that's the Porsche GT2 car in the background there. That in the front is the Ferrari with Ricard Rydell. And they're getting ready in the Lister Storm pit.
See them measuring the churn now, just checking that they've got the right amount of fuel on board.
Apologies to Yeovil Town, by the way, for people who, you know, may actually think that you would represent them in Formula One or whatever.
Of course I watch Yeovil Town play. They do a good job.
And you watch that rain coming down now, and they're evidence of it. So,
oh, we got somebody off here.
Sideways and flying. That, I think, was the Porsche 996 of Jürgen Elson Motorsport. It's been off once already. It's been off twice now.
It's the problem I was saying earlier. With conditions like this, you just don't know what's around the next corner. The lap before, probably that corner was dry, then you come to the corner of the lap later and off you go.
David Terrien there, not making the same impression as he eventually did at the A1 ring, missed the shootout, and Porsche's again dominant in NGT.
Yeah, it's a shame that the Ferrari's not so successful this weekend, but you know, they've still got time. They can keep working on the car, and I think in the end it will be an improvement.
Rydell, Haismans, Campbell-Walter now in third place, and I can tell you why. Julian Bailey has gone back into the pits. He will be changing back to the wet tyres. Those that went to the slicks, well, they weren't to know, but it was a mess.
No, you have to go with the circuit as it was at that situation, but really it does come down to luck. The guys who can just stretch out the fuel mileage that little bit longer, when they come in now to make their fuel stop, they can go straight to wet tyres. But you know, having gone to slicks and then coming back in for wet tyres, that makes it incredibly frustrating.
My feeling is that Julian Bailey will make the driver change now. The Lister Storm team will make the driver change. Nicholas Springer will come into the car. Can't keep on doing that, stopping and not take the opportunity to change driver as well. Otherwise, it's just another stop, and it just becomes... Yes, it is Nicholas Springer that has gone out there, and Julian Bailey must be, well,
it started raining again. He doesn't want to be in there in the wet.
I regard that as... I know the man personally. I'm sure he's... yeah, nobody likes it in the rain. Everybody said, oh, I like it in the rain. It's just... mainly trying to psych themselves up and make everybody feel as if, you know, they're Superman. I don't think anybody likes it in the race.
I was just having a bit of fun there because I was talking to Julian at the end of Le Mans, and I know he wasn't very happy about that situation because it really did rain there.
I'll tell you who else has suffered. It's the Red Bull car that was leading the GTN Championship of Luca Riccatelli. He's onto the slick tyres. Trouble with that once you have it start to rain again. It's clearly a wrong choice, and you've got to get them changed. But no such problems at the moment for Ricard Rydell.
I mean, this circuit now is back almost to how it was at the beginning of the race.
Well, he has got a problem because he's got Hazemans close up on him. Hazemans is going to go through. Rydell drops that back down the inside. Hazemans will have it out of here, will he? Oh, he's got him. He make it stick because they will come round here fairly tightly with Hazemans. Although, no, I mean, Rydell did very well there.
I was just going to say,
that was a little bit of a, you know, a bit of a dance, wasn't it? He could have played the Bolero music.
Yeah,
but Rydell who holds out for Hazemans. And in third place, remember, coming up from 20th is Jamie Campbell-Walter. So the Lister Storm coming through one, literally. Rydell from Hazemans, from Jamie Campbell-Walter. Which way is it going to go? The only way you find out, stay with us. Back in just a second. And back to the Nürburgring, conditions not improving an awful lot, but I can tell you just going down the pit road there as Hazemans has got, in fact, the move by Jamie Campbell-Walter when he was in third place to take Hazemans, who was in second, has also given him the lead because you saw diving into the pit there the Ferrari of Ricard Rydell. So Campbell-Walter from some 20th on the grid to first, and Hazemans fighting back. Well, great credit to the Car Sport Holland driver. And Jamie Campbell-Walter may have got from 20th to first, but he's now back in second. And, well, not for very long.
No, I'm sure at the moment he can live with that. He's back there again now, and you know, that's a great job starting from where he did. I think the weather's helped out a little bit, but you know, he's kept the race clean, really, not made any mistakes at the moment, and he's found himself leading it.
Well, there'll be a change in the pits because I can tell you that Peter Cox, who you've already seen in this programme with an excellent race in the super production cars, is going to take over from Ricard Rydell. But up at the front now, the new leader, Jamie Campbell-Walter, who's sharing that car with Mike Jordan. And I'll tell you, Mike Jordan is going to make quite an impression too. 2 ex-TBR Tuscan races. And there's the move again by Jamie Campbell-Walter. They won the FIA Championship, did Campbell-Walter, last year. But not this year. That's the property of Christophe Boucher.
Ferrari exit in the pit lane. Probably
with Peter Cox aboard. Yeah. With Peter Cox aboard, and it still is a lottery. We've got a fair while to go in the race. And again, we have differing rumours coming from the various teams as to what the weather is likely to do over the remainder of the race.
It's a gamble. Who knows what the weather's going to do? I mean, with those clouds looming in the air, it can rain, it can dry.
I'm sure this is at the Nürburgring and not in England.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
Hazemans goes into the pit road. And we will be getting another look at who is where on this track, but I can tell you very safely that Jamie Campbell-Walter is in the lead. So Mike Jordan and Campbell-Walter. Nicholas Springer in the other car.
Just see there that Jamie Campbell-Walter having to be very careful on the throttle, exiting the Castro S's. Just being very, very gentle because the rear of the car is trying to step out all the time.
And I can tell you that Jamie Campbell-Walter may also have been told as well that this car, for some reason, when it first stopped in the pits, you're on Bleekemolen, it looked as if it was actually going into the wrong pit. There was some confusion in there, so they could have lost more time as well. Nicholas Springer is in the other Lister, but this is the car that is leading the race. Meanwhile, in NGT, some real battles going on there. The 52 car is that of the MK Racing entry, Tim Sugden. And Sugden in his own battle looking for 4th place in NGT at the moment. See the remaining time on the race to run there. That's Pompidou, Xavier Pompidou, with one of the two Freisinger Motorsport entries. The Yorkshireman has the best of it at the moment. Well, that guy has had the best of nothing. That's the third time he's been up on the beach. It's the German driver. And the word up comes into mind. Huysmans, or should we say Jeroen Bleekemolen, now out of the pits, having lost a little bit of time. Luca Riccatelli has lost a lot of time. So this man may fancy his chances. He had the pole position in the NGT class. First pole position he's had in that class. Stefano Telli. Riccatelli, the misfortune. He's had misfortune for 2 races in succession. And we're back again with the Lister Storm pit. And this will be Mike Jordan.
Yeah.
So you don't know a lot about him.
No.
You're about to find out.
Oh, that's good. Be interested to see.
He's a pretty darn good driver. Good engineer as well. Great pedigree. Both Campbell Walter and Mike Jordan come from. Wouldn't be at all surprised to see Mike Jordan in more FIA GT.
Yeah, yeah.
Jeroen Bleekemolen, youngest driver in the race, 19 years of age. There were 3 Bleekemolens. There's only one left in.
Exactly, yeah.
Sebastian ended it for he and Michael.
Before the race started.
He couldn't call this Formula Bleekemolen almost. More rain forecast for later. Huysmans. Oh, you see that? It's getting quite tricky there, isn't it?
The circuit is just so slippery when it's wet. It's a lot more greasy than most other circuits. I don't know why, but just going down into that chicane, it's like braking on ice all the time.
The two listers together ahead of the Ferrari. Peter Cox is in the Ferrari. Now Nicholas Springer, gentleman driver, obviously learning more all the time. Mike Jordan is totally is a gentleman, but yeah, you know, he's a professional driver as well.
There's a dry line appearing again here on this particular part of the circuit again now.
Yeah, they go past Tim Sugden, does the Ferrari. And it's going to be with interest. We see how Mike Jordan goes on. There's Jeroen Bleekemolen again with the Chrysler Viper GTSR. '69. That's Marco Werner. That's the 11 Paul Belmondo car. That car, by the way, because of the wrong size of the wrong amount of ground clearance, missed out on Superpole, which let Huysmans in, which let him go up to 3rd place, which let him eventually lead the GT race for some time. He doesn't lead it now, of course, but I mean, he was thinking he was going to be down among the dead men, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, that was a great result for him, obviously, to make into the 6 for the qualifying, and that's helping him a lot. Kept him out of trouble for the beginning part of the race.
I'm keeping an eye on NGT as well at the moment, and Luca Riccatelli, well, there doesn't seem to be very much that he can do. He's a long way back now.
Biggest problem with this now, again, you can see that they're having to cool the tyres down again, and it's what are they going to do with the pit stops? Do they wait for the refueling to change the tyres? Do they go to a slick tyre? Do they go to an intermediate? Or is it going to start raining again? I mean, it's just such a tricky call.
I should tell you also that Stefano Telli has the very fast-rising Robin Liddell, British driver, with him. A good pairing they are. Be interesting to see whether they can actually win the NGT class. Because at the moment, I think it's Philippe Peter who has the lead in that. And we're there with Thierry Perrier, who's taken over from Michael Newgarten. Newgarten was in the Superpole shootout. Drying quickly as I speak.
It is, yeah. It's again, like we've been saying all along, though. It's drying in certain parts of the circuit, and it's still wet in other places. So it's just so tricky out there to know exactly which way to go. But I'd imagine at the moment it's going to be going back to near slicks again in the near future.
Absolute team manager's nightmare. It's when you can't, you can win, but if you win, it's almost by luck.
Yeah, it is in a way, yeah. I mean, you can make a bad call just as easy as you can make a good call, you know. I mean, you can go with a situation and try and do the slicks like they've done earlier, and then suddenly it rains about 5 minutes later. I mean, that is just pure bad luck.
I can tell you that they're the Belmondo Racing car number 11 going into the pits there. That has actually held the lead. In the pit changing, that car has held the lead, but it's a lead now that goes back to the Lister Storm. Mike Jordan aboard that.
See the pit board as he pulled in, lights off, engine off,
So Anthony Company, well, they say the leader in the pits. You could have put another word in front of it, was.
Exactly, yeah. Well, I mean, we're all going to make pit stops.
Absolutely. Joba, a good race so far with the Paul Belmondo Racing team. Side to David Terrian, not going anything like as quick as he should. Sight there of Jordan, Mike Jordan. So runs his own racing team in Great Britain, which has gone very well in the Porsche Cup. But still, those that work on what's going to happen with the weather tell us uncertainty for the remainder of the race. Paul Belmondo Racing just about to leave the pit road again. So Mike Jordan for the moment with the lead, but the Ferrari is still involved. Can Jeroen Bleekemolen get the Viper going quicker and get on the case? You'll all find out right after these. Well, the weather changing once again. Well, in the Ferrari pit, they are hoping for something, but we have to show you a situation of crossing the white line, and that is going to mean... Jamie Davis, tell us.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do that. I mean, have we seen before in a couple of Formula 1 races this year? You go over the pit line on the exit, and that, to me, is going to be a stop-go.
New leader, and that's Haysmans. Jordan up there as well. Jordan looking to get past Haysmans. The Lamborghini in the middle of all that. That is, in fact, it's not Jordan. They've changed driver while we have been away. And that, in fact, is Jamie Campbell-Walter. Well, did he make a mistake?
I'm not so sure.
Or did he inherit somebody else's spin?
I think maybe he just tried too soon to take the lead. He was at the inside, going down into the corner, then realised he wasn't going to make it, got onto the brakes. But the back marker just turned in and they touched, I think.
Well, Jamie Campbell-Walter has got it to do again. Haysmans has the lead. My stopwatch tells me as he gets going there's about 16 seconds that he's got to try and claw back. Got to just on the hour to be able to do it. Mike Jordan had done a good job in the middle of it. He had pitted, Campbell-Walter taken over. But we've moved on. And now we see Jamie Campbell-Walter trying to win the motor race. The Ferrari out of it, really.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, out of winning, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what's happened there later on. I mean, the track's getting almost dry now, you know. I mean, it's slightly damp off the line in places, but you say it's almost dry. It just doesn't seem to have the pace that it had in qualifying. And Jamie Campbell-Walter in the Lister Storm at the moment is pushing very hard. I mean, they're carving through the back markers. Just see him now put the lights on just to tell that back marker that he's there and wanting to come through quick. And he's out there now just pushing, trying to get back in front.
And he's not too far away. It's visual, the gap, isn't it? Haysmans back in that car. Jamie Campbell-Walter, well, he nearly took it before. Will he take it now? The Ferrari is motoring its way back up through the field. Ricard Rydell back aboard the Ferrari. But it won last time. Podium would be nice, I suppose they're saying at the moment, but it could have been more, couldn't it?
It could have been, yeah. I mean, that's the stop-go penalty that they've incurred, I think, for going over the pit line is a bit unfortunate, and I think that with that aside, they would have been very competitive.
And I'll tell you, somebody in the pits now whose heart will be thumping is Mike Jordan, because First time out. He's driven the car before, but first time out in competition. What a lovely way to win an FIA GT round. He won't mind that it's Jamie Campbell-Walter, the regular pilot, at the wheel, but he'll be willing him on. Now it's just on a second between them, and he'll be looking very, very big and black and threatening behind Mike Hasemans, but he's not phased too easily as Hasemans.
No, I mean, Hasemans just going to be concentrating on the road in front, really. Just keeping the car, trying to keep it smooth, really, and not making any mistakes. Don't try and make it too easy for Jamie Campbell-Walter to make a move on him. But at the moment, it looks like the Lister has got the pace, and if he keeps going the way he is, I don't think he's going to be behind for long.
And if you're Hasemans, you want to try and get the odd car in front and try and get him at the right time to try and open, even if it's only a few tenths of a second, and leave more for Jamie Campbell-Walter to do.
Yeah.
Jamie Campbell, if it was a mistake, and I'm sure he would argue that it wasn't, I'm not sure what you really thought, because I think you thought it was.
It's always a big problem, though, when you have that situation with a damp track on the inside and the tail ender has the dry line. You can't brake as late as somebody when they're on the dry part of the circuit. And when you're on the road, on the wet, on a slick tyre, it's like driving on ice. And
tell you what's going to happen here. That's a real mess there. Can run the Belmondo cars within there. Hasemans hasn't. Hasemans is locked out. Campbell-Walter down the inside.
Perfect.
Used it beautifully.
I mean, he saw that happening.
There was a spin involved the last time. This time there's a spin involved again. This time he takes benefit of it. And thank you very much.
I mean, that was just perfect. I mean, the two tail enders had a little bit of a spin. Jamie Campbell-Walter saw that ahead, managed to just slow the car down enough as he turned into the corner, got on the power sooner than Hasemans, and managed to get him going into the inside into the pit corner.
A new leader. He's led before, mind you, in this race. Jamie Campbell-Walter. They've had a bit of a barren spell last couple of races, as the current FIA GT champion won't be, of course, this year. That's the property of Bouchou and his teammate.
I think at the moment now, looking at the performance of the Lister, that he's going to start edging out.
And it looks like the Lister is very much in command as I speak at the moment. Hasemans going with him in NGT. Up here's Philip Peter from Stefano Telly. So Robin Liddell is going to be on the podium as well, another British driver. But this British driver, in fact, two British drivers, looking like they'll be, with that move, very much on the podium with the Lister Storm. Jamie Campbell-Walter leads, but it's not over yet. Back in just a moment. Jamie Campbell-Walter, not that far to go. 15 minutes remaining in the race. A race he started from 20th position. A race where we've seen the Ferrari of a stop-go penalty. A race where we saw Mike Hasemans into the lead. Campbell-Walter's led before. There have been pit stops, unfortunately at the wrong time, onto the wrong tyres. Cost Julian Bailey dear. And Rickard Rydell currently in second place ahead of Hasemans. And Mike Hasemans, really, I think he'll almost be certain of getting that second place, because I think Rydell has got to serve his sentence yet. He's got to be punished.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure, looking at the information, whether Rydell has actually gone into the pits to make that stop and go yet, but for sure, if he hasn't already, then crossing over that line, there's only one place he's going to be going.
I'll tell you who else is going very strongly and could well benefit from the problem that of the penalty that Rydell and Cox have. It's that the Cumberland Belmondo Gosselin car, the other Chrysler Viper, who would be very shortly looking to have a podium finish. In NGT, well, not quite sure what's likely to happen there. It's still fairly close in NGT. But right at the front, as though we can see the Labra car come out again, the Labra GT car. There's Boris de Lichberg. But as far as Jamie Campbell-Walter, out of picture at the moment, as we see the other Paul Belmondo car going round, all he's got to do is really keep his powder dry, and keep himself dry as well. At 2 hours, it was Hasemans and Bleekemolen. But who will it be after 3 hours? Will it be the Lister Storm? of Campbell, Walter and Jordan. Well, the Kumpen Belmondo Gosling car is currently running back in 5th place. And there is the Ferrari. It has gone in anyway. That's not on the stop-and-go penalty.
No, this is just a pit stop, I think, getting the fuel.
Close to the end of the race. But of course, when you've got the stop-and-go, you're not allowed to do it at the same time.
No, no. It's, you know, double trouble for them, really.
So at the front still Campbell, Walter and Jordan. From Haysmans and Bleekemolen. I think Rydell and Cox, who... it's Rydell coming out now. Should be good enough for 3rd place, so I suppose with their problems, they'll be relatively happy with that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, the win at the A1 ring was great for them with the limited experience they have with the car. And, you know, I think if they can finish on the podium for this weekend, then they've done a great job again, really.
Well, 69 is leading the GT section, and that's Philippe Peter and Werner. So the Porsche Super Cup duo. Well, Porsche Cup racing working very well for them too. And they lead from Stefan Ortelli and Robin Liddell. So that partnership, Ortelli poled it, and clearly Liddell and Ortelli working very well together. Spare a thought though for the 77 car of Luca Riccatelli and Dieter Questa, because they were well in the lead in NGT, but fell into that pit window, which was the wrong pit window to be in, because they went on to slick tyres, and then the rain suddenly poured down within the lap again, and they had to come in and change back. Well, we're on board with the NGT leader. It's Philippe Peter. His best lap in the race set on the drying track, 1:45.7. Which is just 5 seconds off the Lister Storm pace. Haysmans and Bleekemolen have in fact gone faster than the Lister Storm, but Bailey and Springer, in fact Julian Bailey of course, set the fastest lap, 1:40.252. That a few laps ago. You're on board with British driver Robin Liddell, looking for a podium in FIA GT. So Jamie Campbell-Walter on the podium. We hope right, obviously that on the podium will be Robin Liddell with Stefan Ortelli, and of course Mike Jordan will be on the podium also. So it's going to be a fair British showing, provided that Jamie Campbell-Walter, and provided that this man, Robin Liddell, takes the NGT car to the finish in the top 3 places. There's the car looking from a high camera angle as he comes on to the start and finish straight.
See, still pushing very hard there, just locking the wheel going into the pit corner.
Well, you never know, there could still be a victory ahead.
Exactly.
You know, something could happen, it's never over until the, well, it's better than calling that fat lady. Maybe we should say the thin lady sings or plays the harmonica or something. Thierry Perrier in the 11th place. And these Porsche 996s.
Locking that wheel again then.
Again dominant, it's his dominant. Nothing that David Terrien could do this time. Terrien in fact way back down in something like 19th and 20th overall with Pescatori with a Ferrari 360 Modena. And there is the NGT leader. Werner and Peter the car of. And they've got a little bit of a cushion before Ortelli and Liddell, who are next up on the road, by the way.
See it spinning with rain again.
But it never knows when to stop, does it? Well, apparently when to start. And I can tell you out of picture
There is
that
rain on the windscreen
you
now.
Lister Storm fans, that Jamie Campbell-Walter is still keeping it firmly on the island. It might be spinning a little bit, and that could make it quite dramatic at the end. As Haysmans again in 2nd place. Rydell now in the seat of the Ferrari has rejoined. They're in 3rd place. But it's the Lister Storm that started way back on the 10th row of the grid after 2 races, one of them which we saw with Jamie Campbell-Walter, very angry indeed after a gentleman driver. And that is Mike Jordan, by the way. I was going to say the gentleman driver made a right mess of it, but that's Mike Jordan watching from the pit road. And when I mean, you've been in Le Mans situations, and when your team are going really well, you're looking for victory, etc. Your heart must be thumping.
Oh yeah, for sure. The last thing that these guys want in this situation now, in the closing stages of the race, is it to start raining again. I mean, that just throws, you know, another scene into it, and just makes your life that much more difficult. I mean, it's bad enough anyway when you're heading to a podium position. You start thinking about problems with the car, but when you start having problems with the weather as well, that's just another problem to worry about.
The last two races have not finished. Does it happen in threes, or is it third time lucky? Jimmy Campbell-Walter is taking the left-hander there. He's got to be certain to keep out of trouble, watch for back markers, watch for cars in their own battle, in class battles as well. But he's got a good cushion. There's 15 seconds, an extended cushion from Heismans and young Jeroen Bleekemolen. Campbell-Walter, and I'm sure that Mike Jordan won't begrudge him at all having the longer time in the car. Not certain who will be with Campbell-Walter next year. They don't look that happy yet, do they? I mean,
still very tense at the
all
moment.
very serious, don't
Race
they?
isn't finished until you cross the line, you know. I mean, anything can happen, even on the last corner of the race. So, you know, nothing's a result yet. Just needs to keep it calm, really, and try not to make any mistakes. Just take it easy. Don't take risks when you're passing the back markers.
12.4 seconds between Campbell-Walter and Heismans.
He's got the time there not to worry too much. He can afford to relax a little bit.
Still got cars to pass on this lap as we go back aboard with second placed Robin Liddell on the Porsche 996 GT3R trail, chasing the Porsche of Philip Peter. Liddell it will be who will have the honour of taking this car to the checkered flag, and to at least second place on the podium. Jean-Pierre Jarier goes through. This is the Liddell car, locking up a little bit there. You've got to be careful all the time, though, haven't you? Because, you know, somebody makes a mistake in front of you, and you go from hero to zero in absolutely no time at all.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Just got to be very, very careful. Don't put wheel wrong, basically. I mean, you have to, a lot of concentration still at this stage of the race. Just, like I said before, just keep your eyes about, keep the wits about you, and don't try and make too many risks. Just keep it nice and neat.
The art of class racing is to be able to race looking ahead of you and in the mirror at the same time.
Very, very difficult situation. You know, with the more powerful cars, then they're just concentrating on their driving and overtaking the slower back markers. But for the Porsches and for the other Ferrari, it's a bigger problem. They're having to concentrate on the road in front of them, race the guys in front of them, and also look out for the faster cars which are coming up from behind.
Liddell's sorted out the chicane neatly there, straightening it out nicely. He's going to take the right-hand corner onto the start and finish straight. Just less than 5 minutes, the clock counting down. It's second place in NGT that he's looking at. They'll finish inside the top 10 as well, but that is the first place in NGT. The car of Philip Peter and Werner, the two Porsche Cup, they're both in the same Porsche Cup, Porsche Super Cup teams. And not that long ago, since Werner actually had a victory in the Porsche Super Cup, I think it was at the Nürburgring. Certainly a driver who knows this circuit very well indeed. Doesn't look like Liddell can catch him, but maybe very happy he and Stefano Telli, although Telli putting the car in pole if they can finish in second place. Less than 4 remain. All the time it's relayed into my ears where Jamie Campbell-Walter is, and I can tell you he's where he wants to be. He's where Mike Jordan and the Lister Storm team want him to be. He's right in the lead of the motor race. And there the gap between Peter and Liddell, 4.783 seconds. It takes some doing to pull that back in less than 4 minutes.
It's a difficult task. I mean, the only thing he can really wait for now is if it does rain on the closing stages, but it doesn't look like it's going to really downpour now. I mean, it's very, very difficult to close that kind of time.
And the 21 car, that's Vin Deems and Severite, the Chrysler Viper, that's lying just behind the leading two NGT cars. And again, it's looking like there might be some rain, but there's only 3 minutes of it left. I think that's our old friend Thomas Cock, and his race looks like it's up.
It's certainly starting to spit with rain again, which is going to make it slightly greasy, but I don't think at the moment it's going to make it too difficult for the leaders.
Jamie Campbell-Walter, less than 3 minutes from him and victory with the Lister Storm. And I know Mike Jordan in the pit road there will be absolutely delighted. One of the great competitors, Mike Jordan. Though first to shake your hand if you manage to beat him. Doesn't shake an awful lot of hands for that. It's mostly people coming to shake his, and neither does Jamie Campbell-Walter. Remember somebody was telling me when he was in TVR, a teammate said to him, I did a such and such and such time, thinking he'd done well. And he turned around to his TVR Tuscan teammate and said, if I did that time, I'd kill myself. And, well, I don't know what the Lamborghini's doing going back into the pit there with, what, less than 2 minutes to go. But, well, who knows? I mean, it may have been something just to make sure it got through to the finish.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I didn't actually catch to see whether it had a fuel pipe attached at all, but it could have been just maybe he's damaged a car somewhere and they just wanted to check it. I don't know. Could be anything, really.
I'm looking to see where Julian Bailey and Nicholas Springer are, because Bailey's gone back into the Lister Storm, the other Lister Storm. Well, they'll top and tail the top six, because Jamie Campbell-Walter and Mike Jordan are in the lead, and about the next lap, maybe this is the penultimate lap, should see victory clinched. A tempting fate for them. And Julian Bailey and Nicholas Springer. No, this is the last lap. Thanks to our producers for flashing the screen up just at the right time to tell us the two Paul Belmondo cars in unison in front of them. Jamie Campbell-Walter, all he needs to do is stroke it home.
Exactly. I mean, looking at the cameras there as well, with the rain coming down on the cameras again. I mean, I think maybe you know, a little bit more time and the track will start getting wet again. So it couldn't have come soon enough.
He's had his share of bad luck this year. It looked like that bad luck was continuing with 20th place on the grid. He fought his way up through the field. He spun. He lost the opportunity of taking the lead. He kept the red mist away. He piled on the pressure again. His teammate did a brilliant stint in the middle as well. And Jamie Campbell-Walter and Mike Jordan are literally a couple of corners away from sending that team ecstatic. So the Lister Storm, backed by Newcastle United, my co-commentator, Jamie Davis, hoping to be backed by Yeovil Town Football Club. Well, I'm not laughing at Yeovil Town Football Club, just thinking of their loss. I mean, excellent conference side. But the two Belmondo cars just there, and I don't think that Jamie Campbell-Walter will bother too much about a bit of lappery here. I think he'll just...
I don't think so, no.
Take it through and look for that checkered flag, and there it will be, and he just goes gracefully over the line, and the Lister Storm has survived the storm.
That's great for them. I mean, the key for their race really was surviving the first couple of laps. I mean, that was where there was going to be some carnage, and that's where they really needed to keep the wits about them, really keep the eyes open, and they've done a great job. They brought it home and took the win. Well,
one of the Team Car Sport Honda teams didn't even get effectively to start the race. Shouldn't be laughing, really, and I'm not. Yes, I am. Only a little bit, and you know, I know they're very good normally. Certainly Hazemans, who didn't even manage to make it at first the Super Pole. They've excelled themselves, Hazemans and young Jeroen Bleekemolen with the Chrysler Viper. They finish in second place. This team, Philip Peter will finish the leader of NGT. I can tell you that Rickard Rydell and Peter Cox finished third with the Ferrari in GT. And Stefano Telly and British driver Robin Liddell will step on the podium step next to the top in NGT. It looks like it's just about to start heaving it down with rain again.
Yeah.
And Robin Liddell just happy to coax the car home now. So Campbell-Walter and Mike Jordan, confirmation of their victory. Hazemans and Bleekemolen second. Rydell and Peter Cox third. Fourth, Vincent Vos, Paulus Lichtenberg. Kumpen, Belmondo and Gosselin finished 5th with the Chrysler Viper. And Lister Storm, top and tail, the top 6 was Nicholas Springer and Julian Bailey finish in 6th place. Philip Peter in 9th there. As Bouchard at the top there, the man who's already won the championship with Jean-Philippe Belloc. They finished in 7th. And in 9th place, the winner of the NGT class. And in 10th place, Robin Liddell and Stefan Ortelli. But let's hear now, look at the top of the points. Well, we know Belloc and Boucher have won it 70, but Campbell Walter, Bleekemolen 33 and 32, Haysmans with 32, Voss with 12 points. Now, we're looking a second at the NGT. That's going to be very interesting indeed. Luca Riccatelli must be cursing his luck. Lavra competition at the top there with 82 points. Team Car Sport Holland with 47. We're still talking, of course, GT at the moment. Lister Storm there. There's Riccatelli with 51. Pescatori and Tarian 46 and 46 apiece, but no real score for the Ferraris as far as they're really concerned today. Riccatelli's got it to do in the last 2 rounds, and so too is Tarian if he's going to catch him.